What up, legends? Coup Killer.
So this is my son, Kenny.
This is not my father.
I'm his new stepdad.
This guy is dark.
And I love him like he's my own son.
This is a dark, dark man.
Love
Do
him-
not
love
listen
him
to a
like he's
word
my
he
own son.
says. Not a word.
What's up, everybody? Jesse Burdick back with you, going over some team SuperTraining training sessions here at SuperTraining Gym. Take you through a couple of our warm-ups, as we'd mentioned before. Some winning warm-ups, pre-exhausting our lower body, just doing some belt squats here, getting warm, asking those muscles to kind of turn on and start paying attention that we're about to go do some work. We have a block pull session going on with most of our athletes. We have a couple of squats. We have Sully getting stuck a little bit. Do a little calf raise, get it in there. Anytime you can throw in a calf raise is always a good thing. Here we have Steph. Looks like she's doing some squats here, doing some heavy singles. Steph is actually from a gymnastics background. I think she's a gymnastics teacher. She's actually been getting really, really strong. She looks awesome. She moves really, really well, and you can always tell someone who has a gymnastics background, they just know how to move their body through space. So she's going to be really, really strong as she keeps up with things. I think it looks like 235, 245 or so right now. Knees come in a little bit. She's a little bit bent over, but hopefully she kind of corrects that as we kind of go along. I think it's still pretty light and maybe a little bit of a missed groove. Just keep her chest up a little bit. Here we have, looks like we're on about like a 3 or a 4 inch block pull for some multiple reps here. This looks fine. I mean, so a lot of times people will start talking about kind of the touch and go and the reset and everything along those lines. And I kind of want to touch on something. I always let people decide and let them do whatever the hell that they kind of want to do. The only thing that I would ask is if you are going to do kind of the touch and go style, which is a style that I prefer because I think it keeps the time under tension as high as you can, which is what you're wanting to accomplish as much as you can. Here's Big Fat Drew, aka or now Jacked Handsome Drew, and in the same spot. So the touch and go thing is always going to be person to person. As long as it's, it's not going to negatively affect the next rep, I think it's okay. And as long as you're being honest with yourself, like if you are going to have to do a restart, you set it back down and restart and go again, that's going to negatively affect those numbers. So don't think you hit a PR from going from the touch and go to the other one. Write them down, try both, see what, helps you out the most. And you can kind of use that. There's not necessarily a wrong way to do it. There's just assuming that not writing the things down and not taking things for what they are and counting them as something different. That's where things kind of start to get weird. And we have Kenny with 605. Got a couple of guys just like him who really go down there and just kind of grip and rip the bar. And that's always going to be just an individual thing. It's not necessarily something that I would say everybody can do, but if it works for you, there's Sully just looking so damn handsome. If you can do it and it works for you, that's great, but also realize that, it's not necessarily always for everybody, and it should be something that one way or the other you need to kind of practice. Very few people at the highest level of deadlifting are going to grip and rip. People are going to need to get their hand set, get everything kind of put together, just like what Sully's doing. He's really taking his time, making sure that everything is exactly where it should be. Everything from his toes to his nose is in the right spot, as tight as he can. He's going to kind of rip the bar up and just kind of go from there. So you'll see a couple of people's different styles, and that's exactly it. It's an individual style, and you find out what works best for you and what you can lift the heaviest with, and kind of continue and go from there. So weight on the bar goes up a little bit for Steph. Nice little slap of the legs to wake you up in the morning, 265. Again for another single here, working on just dialing things in as we kind of go. Much better job of staying up taller. right from the start. Hopefully everyone can kind of see that. Knees, again, kind of come in a little bit, but I think, for females, usually their femur length is always something that's going to be challenging for their hips. Kind of keep those knees out the whole time. Here's Kirby going. It's a pretty conventional stance, if we can call it. It's kind of that blur between a little sumo and a conventional, or it's a very narrow sumo, which is completely fine. Again, whatever your stance is, that's going to allow you to lift the most. Go for that. I would add chalk, not necessarily wipe your hands on your sweatpants, but hey, do what you got to do, get your shit done. As long as you're working your ass off and numbers are moving. If you got to use the sweatpant method, that's completely fine. I think block pulls are a great exercise to kind of overload the top of the deadlifts, and also just work on bringing your hips up in all movements. What a great thirst angle we got here, man, nailing it. But I think block pulls can also be overused. I think so many people are going to want to use a super, super high block pull and, just really, Mark and I used to call it try and win the invisible balloon award that sings a silent song. It's not necessarily about, going over 110% of whatever your max is just to feel great about it. Make sure that all these things have purpose. And this is, my program. This is the Power WOD programming for SuperTraining Gym that you can find on markbell.com. We will always go back and forth between some sort of block pull, some sort of deficit pull, and then pulls off the floor. So we're not just exclusively doing a block pull just to make ourselves feel good about things. There's a purpose here. So we go usually from a deficit where your pull is actually longer back to the floor, and then we can kind of overload things at the top. You have to hit all those qualities in order to continually progress your deadlift as you go. $1 million chalk pull, always featured in all of our videos. Kenny going up to a 605 here again. Again, a little bit more of a grip and rip thing, which is fine. Keeps that bar close, as you can tell from his shin. Gets to leave a little DNA on the bar, which is always, oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? Smokey's always there to give some love. So as you'll see with Sully, this is a technique that a lot of Olympic lifters do. If you can watch him when he chalks up his hands, he does a lot of his, chalks up a lot of his thumbs because it's hook gripping. And that's something that I think actually everybody should do, opposed to wiping their hands on their sweatpants. Chalk up your thumbs. Your thumbs, it makes a big, big difference when you're pulling, whether you're using a hook grip or not. Steph jumping up to 270 here, which for her size is a fantastic squat right now. So especially for just kind of get moving and everything for her. Keep your chest up, get nice good depth, good brace. Shove her chest up into the bar. To me, that looked actually better than some of the other ones. And you'll find that sometimes when people actually, their warm-up sets are just kind of, they're just trying to dial things in. And when they finally get to that one weight and they look awesome, it actually looks better than the other ones. But that's also a dangerous spot where, if I was coaching her, I'd be like, hey, that was the goal of the day. Let's call it there. Could she lift another 20 pounds? Absolutely. It sure looked like it. But again, what's the intent of the day? Or intent of the day there was to kind of get her to that spot, something that feels good, feels strong, looks great. If we put another 10, 15 pounds on, maybe those knees cave in a little bit more. Maybe something else kind of happens negative that's going to negatively affect her going forward. So, stopping, taking a win for the day is always an okay thing to do. Handsome Drew. As you can see, everyone's starting point is going to be a little bit different. So, you're just trying to keep your back as stiff as you can, try and move with your legs, but also go with your back. When you're doing a sumo block pull, it's very strange at this height because you can't necessarily get underneath the weight. And it's also hard for you to kind of get over top of the weight. So you'll see everyone upper back looks like it's rounding a little bit, but in all reality, they're just, they're not starting that way. It just kind of happens as you're kind of pulling. and these things can kind of happen. This isn't something that we program and say, hey, try to do this, but it's something that we'll try and correct as we go through the strengthening and the exercises that we prescribe. But here's Kenny, who's going to do a nice job, but you'll see he too kind of get kicks a little forward, and that's just because of the height that we're starting at. The whole idea with the program is to try and put some people in some bad positions and force them to get strong enough to get out of those positions. We challenge those, in many different ways, with deficits, with block pulls, with accommodating resistance. Here we have Sully going for another 615. I think this is just a medium day for him. We saw him go up to 705 for singles the other day. Just again, kind of dialing in form, make sure that he's perfect where he wants to be, nice and tight. Does a good job of pulling the slack out of the bar. We're going to go and get some reps done here. I don't know how he does it, but how does his beanie actually get lower as he deadlifts as the reps go up? That's a really unique thing. I'm not sure how he does it, but yeah. Hook grip will do that to your thumbs. Got to tough it out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Open gyms available. SuperTraining Gym. We're ready for you when you're ready for us. markbell.com. See ya.